Hello, and welcome back to Diecast Graveyard. My name is Paul. Today we're going to do a Mercedes-Benz 280 SL. Now, the paint job itself and like that is not going to be the situation here. The main objective of this video is to show you how to repair a missing bearing off of a car like this. I mean, the car is going to look good. We're going to do a really cool paint job on it and restore it back to its original condition. But we are going to do a color change. Now, the body on this car is a little bit crusty. There's some, I don't know, it's just wearing out and it's all bubbly and everything. So we're going to get that fixed up and sanded down and get that polished up. But the main objective here, of course, is to show you how to repair a broken bearing off of a car. Now, a lot of folks have got cars like this, and the wheel has come off where the little nipple on the end of the axle breaks off. I went ahead and drilled out the post. Now, everything in the car overall seems to be pretty good shape. Now, there are some crusties on here, the oxidation, so we're going to address that and take care of that. Not a problem there. Overall, the body is in pretty good shape. But we'll get that body polished up and cleaned up, ready to paint. The base here. Now here's what I was telling you about. There's an axle sticking out there, but the little nipple off the end of it that holds the bearing on is gone. And that's a very common problem with cars like this. Well, we're going to show you today how to fix that and how to bring it back to normal. The windshield needs to be polished up and the interior needs to be scrubbed down with soapy water and a toothbrush. Let's go ahead and get started. Here we're going to go ahead and drill out the post. Make sure you take your time so you don't put the drill bit through your finger. Now, some people say, you know, put it on the bench so you don't hurt yourself or anything like that. I find it better myself if I have control of it like this, that I can keep a little bit closer observation on it versus drilling on a table or a vise and drilling down into it. You just have to take your time. Now I've got the drill going extremely slow, and we're going to drill through as much of the post as we can, but we're going to wind up putting a short screw in here because there's just not enough room for a long screw. Well, let's go ahead and fix this up, and we'll speed it up so you can see it done. Don't you wish you could work that fast? Well, we got the holes drilled out here. Now we're going to have to tap them to put screws in. We got that taken care of, and I use the 1-72 screws with the 1/16 inch bit. That's what I use for my red lines. Now you can use a 256 screw for the newer model cars or the ones with the wider post. Some people do the 256 screws on the red lines and they don't have an issue or a problem with it. I personally would rather have that little extra insurance to make sure that I'm not going to drill through the post or drill through the side, etc. So that's why I use the 1-72 screws on the older red lines. Oop, dropped it right back in the embalming fluid. Let's get this set on this little lid here, and we'll let that set and get it eating away at that paint. Let's go ahead and move on. For some reason, I lost the footage on me repairing the axle for the Mercedes, so I'm going to use this TNT bird as an example. I've got the axle, I've got the bearing that I got from Bearcat 3D Designs, and I'll have a website link up for that here at the end of the video. First thing you need to do is go ahead and take the axle out of the car if it can be removed. If it can't be removed, then you're going to have a hard time doing this. There we go, we got the axle out. Notice how that little nipple on the end that holds the bearing on obviously is gone. Now you take these little bearings here, I'm going to zoom in here. There's a little cove right there in the end of the bearing. So that's why it's important not to pinch a lot of the metal to make it really long or really wide here. Go ahead and put the bearing on and slip it all the way to the back of the axle. It spins really good and really free. Now you're going to take these fence pliers and you're going to pinch the very, very tip of the axle. Make sure you hold the axle in place, because if you don't hold on to it, sometimes it can fly across the room on you. Pinch it really hard. Let's zoom in here. And there's a little flange that you put on the end. Now this is just enough to hold the bearing on. And in that little cove, the end of it disappears so it doesn't interfere with the tire when you put it back on. Isn't that cool? So check out Bearcat 3D Designs, get a hold of Grizz and say, I need a bunch of these bearings, because you'll never know when you're going to need them, and they're not that expensive. So go ahead and get them, and you can start repairing some of these axles. There we go. And now we just got to manipulate it a little bit to get it in place with the screwdriver. And there it is. Spins freely, got plenty of room to move, and it works perfect. We did a bearing repair. And there's today's tip from your Uncle Paulie. Now it's time to put some wheels on the base. Like I said, I've polished up the base and I've detailed it up. I detailed up the headlights, or excuse me, the taillights. Now we're going to put some wheels on. We got these medium meats that we're going to put all the way around. And they're going to look excellent too. This car is going to make a really, really nice restoration when they're done here. That looks sweet. Rolls good and clean. That's the wheel we repaired, so that works good. Let's move on. We've polished up the body, then we degreased it with Zep degreaser. I also use Super Clean. Now we're going to spray paint this and we're going to turn it into an aqua color. Now the other color was green. I'm not a really big fan of green cars in general, but the aqua in this case looks really good. Just not that stark heavy green that was on the car originally. Make sure you get your hard to reach areas first, your fender wells, inside the cab where the interior goes, and all around the lower lip of the car. Then spray some light tack coats all the way around, making sure you get every surface that is exposed. We let that set for about 10 to 15 minutes. Now we're going to come back in and we're going to do a little bit heavier coats and give it one good final saturation coat. I really like this color. These Spectre Flame paints are absolutely excellent. And if you get a chance, go to the Redline shop and get you some of these Spectre Flame paints, because they're beautiful. And not only do they work on the Redlines, they work on the mainline cars too. But what's also cool is if you really feel adventurous, they work really good on the Matchbox cars too. Give it a try. Now the other thing about the Spectre Flame paints is that you can mix colors. If you don't like this shade of aqua, you can add some blue to it, or you can add some red to it. Whatever you prefer. You can add some yellow to it. But you can mix up your own shade of colors. Just remember that if you mix up a shade of color, how many drops of what you put in there, like 10 drops of blue to 3 drops of yellow or something, so you can at least reproduce the color if you have to mix up more. And there's another tip from your Uncle Paulie. We've got all the parts together here. We've got the body, and we went through and we put that beautiful Spectre Flame Aqua on there. We've got the base. We polished that all up. We detailed it. We did the repair on the left front wheel with those bearings from Bearcat 3D Designs. We cleaned up the interior, and we polished the windshield. Fantastic. I had a lot of fun doing this for you. Let's go ahead and put everything together, and let's do our reveal. And this is what we started with. An old Mercedes-Benz 280 SL. And it's tired. It's missing a lot of paint. It's crusty in some areas. There's a front wheel that's broken off the side there. And overall, like I said, it needs a really good restoration and some TLC. But we took it apart, we painted it, we fixed it, and this is what we got to. Look at this beautiful restoration, folks. Now, just the fact that we saved that axle assembly and put that bearing on there, that's worth its weight in gold right there. So that bearing, like I said, from Bearcat 3D Designs. We got brand new tires from the Redline shop. We got the Spectre Flame paint from the Redline shop. Folks, you can do this too, I promise you. Follow the hints and tips that we give you in these videos. And not only my videos. Go to some of the other guys. Go to Outlaw Speed Shop with Keith. What a fantastic builder and a great instructor. Look at George from Hodges Hot Wheels and Diecast. Fantastic stuff. Paul from Fat Guy Productions. Lee from Time Riders Wee Little Cars. Great builders. Check those guys out. I'd like to introduce you to something new that I'm starting, and I call it the Diecast Builder Spotlight. This is a time when I introduce you to builders here on YouTube that you might not be aware of, and I want to bring attention to their page because they do some pretty darn awesome work. Folks, I'd like to introduce you to the Diecast Sheriff. Now, my friend Jeremy here has a really cool page. He's into law enforcement, hence the sheriff terminology, but he does some pretty awesome builds, and his videos are pretty wild. So please check out the Diecast Sheriff. He does some pretty cool builds, and I think you'll like what he does. Go to his YouTube page, do a search for Diecast Sheriff, and check him out today. This video was brought to you by the Redline Shop. The Redline Shop offers a complete line of decals, tools to take your car apart, put them back together, replacement hoods, replacement glass, those beautiful Redline tires, and of course, the world famous Spectre Flame paints. Fantastic products. The Redline Shop at www.redlineshop.com, where Redlines come to life. I want to say thank you to Grizz at Bearcat 3D Designs for those awesome bearings that he made that allowed us to repair the axle on this car. So check out Grizz's website at www.bearcat3ddesigns.com for all of your 3D printing needs. Thank you for joining me today on Diecast Graveyard. Had a lot of fun doing this car for you and showing you the tips that can help you with your restorations of your Hot Wheels, Matchbox, Johnny Lightnings, etc. My name is Paul with Diecast Graveyard. Please like, share, and subscribe, and have a great day and cheers.